Actually, maybe I'll just...
No, we gotta save the twist for the end. The movie...
Slappy?
The movie taught us all about writing. A beginning, middle, and a twist.
And this was almost as self-indulgent as Shyamalan's writing.
As Lady in the Water.
Yeah.
Almost.
Wow, this movie is a huge R.L. Stein fan.
I was gonna say, like, you know, it's definitely Goosebumps because it's not
scary.
It's not that funny. It's not that scary, and it really thinks it's funny and scary.
Yeah.
And it loves sucking its own dick. It's like, no, don't you know these are Goosebumps, man. You can't sleep for weeks, man.
Oh no, that made me laugh because I'm like, that it's not Goosebumps.
Yeah, like I think even like the most diehard Goosebumps fan is just like, no, I love these. Like, and I know people that love Goosebumps, but they're like, this is stupid. Like, I love them, I adore them, but they're not scary. They're not actually.
According to the kid in this movie, the kid who's like the cross between Shelley Duvall and Robin Gibb, he was scary as shit. He was scared. She's like, no, man, these aren't kids' books. Kids' books put you to sleep. These keep you awake.
Oh, yeah.
It looked like if you had combined Squints from The Sandlot with Eleanor Roosevelt.
That kid.
I feel sorry for that kid because I'm sure that like the movie was the movie cast him because they wanted a weird.
You're goofy looking, yeah.
Well, they didn't do him any favors either. It's like they kept playing it up. I'm like, this poor kid.
This movie, like it. I mean, it'll certainly. I think it'll certainly have an audience. I'm certainly not it. Like, I don't have nostalgia for Goosebumps or R.L. Stein. I've read a few. Like, I read the first couple Babysitter books. I read a couple of the Goosebumps ones, but I was allowed to read other things.
See, I'm with you. I could read Stephen King.
Same
I could
here,
read, you know, like really good horror and stuff like that.
Goosebumps was kind of past our time anyway.
No, the books weren't. The show was. The show I was not the right age for, and I was just like, okay.
Well,
this
the books
is just,
started coming out 88, so at least for
Oh,
me,
really?
I first heard of R.L. Stein when I was in like 5th grade. So
Me
that
too,
would have been
yeah.
around 92, 91, 92.
Yeah.
So I mean, point being, well, you guys were in 5th grade. I would have been like 7th
It
or
would have
8th.
been older, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I never got into R.L. Stein. I never thought he was scary or that great a writer. But like you said, there's an audience. It's for kids. Whatever. So this movie, the whole time I'm watching, I'm thinking like, this feels like it should have come out 20 years ago, but that.
Well, it
might be the intention.
It really did feel like a 90s movie.
It really did.
This has all of the lameness of the 90s. The only thing it needed a little more of was like the kids needed to be like to the extreme.
They just needed a dance number where like everyone just suddenly knew a song and all sung it.
They all start singing "I Put a Spell on You."
Yes.
that's again, like, this movie is also going to be nostalgic for people who really like movies like Ernest Scared Stupid, Hocus Pocus,
It's true.
Small Soldiers.
No, you're actually right.
Yeah.
Jumanji.
It was Jumanji.
Yeah.
The whole fucking movie was Jumanji crossed with like Gremlins or Small Soldiers. Or
Well, and the funny
something.
thing, here's the only thing that kind of like legitimately pissed me off about this movie is that, you know, I'm not a Goosebumps fan, but when I saw the trailer for it, I'm like, I like this idea. Like, this actually sounds like a clever, funny idea. If you show me this on paper...
Jumanji all over it.
No. If you show me this idea on paper, I'd be like, how do you do a Goosebumps movie? How do you do it? I'm like, that's a clever idea. And even sort of like just the layout of the story and everything, I'm like, this is a smart idea. But it doesn't treat it like, hey, we know Goosebumps is silly. We know it's, you know, actually not very good. They still treat it like it's amazing. And that's what bothered me about it. This had a real good sense of humor about it.
Goosebumps really wasn't that
Yeah,
good.
they had a really good sense of humor about it. Like, I would have really liked it, but they're like, the only good thing they had about it was the Stephen King.
It had a sense of humor about the
jokes,
Stephen King stuff.
Yeah.
Like when he, at the end, when he has to write a new Goosebumps book and he's doing it from this high school that's doing a play of The Shining. That's kind of funny.
What high school would do The Shining?
Because they can't do the gallows anymore. That's in bad taste. So, like, he's on, like, Jack Torrance's table.
Yeah.
That was
That was very funny.
Him getting pissed off when he's compared to Stephen King, that was funny. Which that actually made me think, you know what would be a really good adult version of this movie is if this movie's about Stephen King and it's about all of Stephen King's characters.
That'd be cool.
Coming
Yeah,
out,
that would've been awesome.
Christine comes out of there.
And it actually stars Stephen King.
Yeah.
Because, like,
When they were going with the twist, I was just like, I was talking to Brad. I'm like, this would have been a way better twist if it turns out the dummy created the R.L. Stein.
Right?
Yeah. I'm like, that would have been awesome.
That twist would have made more sense than the one that's actually at the end of this movie, which did. Okay,
is there even really a
spoiler.
twist?
Is it the Invisible Boy's still alive? But I don't know why.
It still makes no sense. Yeah, all the monsters he wrote, all the monsters get sucked back into the book, and it's just, you forgot to include the Invisible Boy.
But he said all of the monsters, and you need a key to open these books. But apparently, all it's out.
Brad, we need a sequel.
I don't know how this movie.
The Invisible Boy's gonna knock up some high school girl, have invisible children.
Jack Black in this movie he's John Belushi from Neighbors, and they cross with Boo Radley.
I think
and then basically doing Mark Hamill as Chucky as the
I think it's just like a lost SNL character. I mean, especially when he has to do the serious scenes, but he still has this voice. No, you have to let me go. I'm like, no. I thought he was fun.
The dummy. I was just laughing my ass.
That was the most fun.
I kept wanting to hear, no, Batman. No.
When he's just tossing flaming books out of the car. This movie did have fun sequences in it. Honestly.
The gnomes are very funny.
Yeah, the gnome scene was great.
And scary too. They're legitimately creepy.
I was telling Brad, I'm like, this really needed to be a Joe Dante.
The
gnome sequence was like something out of Gremlins, and it was legitimately great.
This kind of movie I liked in the 90s, the 80s, like Joe Dante, so like Gremlins, and because they were just a little darker, a little more,
a little edge.
Yeah.
Well, when he's shoving the freaking gnome down the garbage disposal, they fry them in the oven. I'm like,
that was
holy fuck!
That was great. The gnomes are in the oven melting. When the abominable snowman gets sucked back up in the book, it was actually kind of horrifying.
Yeah, no, that was a really cool scene. I mean, I'm watching this thinking like, oh shit, it's this kind of movie. Because I was hoping it would kind of make fun of those, 90s movies and stuff. It's like, no, we're just going to be that, which is like...
Hey, but it's not, like you said, it could have been darker and a lot more clever with the cheesiness of these books, and it's really not.
Because I think it's such a good idea. It's like, it would have been nice if it was more aware, and it was like, hey, it would have been nice if, we know what we're doing, and giving, it's one of those where I actually kind of wanted that little wink,
fair,
we know what we're doing.
When it had an actual energy to it, it had a real kinetic energy to it.
Yeah, when he was tossing flaming books out of the car.
Anything with the puppet was great.
Yeah, the scene with the gnomes, the ventriloquist dummy throwing, basically Molotov cocktails outside and destroying the town. And even I thought the climax, there were certain scenes where I'm like, I really want to be invested in this because there's an actual energy to this. At least the director knew it's like, okay, well, we're just going to have some fun and throw some,
the man just sucks out the bully. You leaned over to me and just went you just see his severed head fly out.
Well, that was hard. I kept waiting, I kind of wanted it to be more dark. When that mantis shows up, there's some reaction shot from some girl or something, and she's like, oh my god, or something, and I was like, I really just wanted a holy fuck.
And a movie like Gremlins, though, is a universe in which people fucking die.
Yeah.
This movie wasn't that because, for instance, when the kid gets sucked out by the mantis, a movie like Gremlins, that kid would just not be seen again, and we would assume he's... it shows him at the end, and in this, it shows him at the end, and he's fine, he's just in a cast, and I'm like, oh, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, but again,
he lived.
But I mean, again, it's Goosebumps. I don't even know if he really killed anyone in the Goosebumps books either,
I don't know.
I mean, the bits I read...
When I was talking to you, I was like, these all feel like half-baked jokes.
There
are so many jokes that
they just kind of come and go, and you're just like, I feel like that was the setup for a better joke.
But then there's no punchline. Remember, there's a scene where it's there's all these people are frozen, and they're walking by, and the dorky kid's like, oh my god, my dad. Oh, no, it's not my dad.
Was that the part where I just heard you at one point, or sitting over there, and you just went, comedy? That's a problem I have with this, because it is so much like one of these movies from the 90s that the jokes are even lame like one of those from the 90s. They're not. The jokes in this are nothing more than really simple, okay, Jack Black's fingers are broken. He gives a high five to the kid, and he goes, ow, shouldn't have done that. It's that wah jokes, like when Ken Marino is hitting on Amy Ryan and she's just like, not now, coach.
Oh,
all
right.
Okay, cut to next scene. It's like jokes that are just kind of like,
when the nerdy kid saves the girl, like there, and the thing is, I'm just like, these all would have feel like they were bigger scenes that somehow just got pretty much just cut or something. Because I'm like, I feel like the movie wants us to invest in these side characters, but you didn't have any scenes with them, so they come up out of nowhere.
You know what I want this movie to be? I know you have. Have you seen a movie called Sky High?
Oh, the Kurt Russell one? Yeah.
I wanted it to be like that. That movie
cool.
had an awareness, was legitimately funny, but had good throwbacks to sort of the traditional
And to be fair, it was really just aimed at kids.
In the Mouth of Madness.
That's exactly
I would have killed it, man.
When I
Well,
did...
Sam Neill's the puppet.
Oh, my God.
You can't leave us, and she won't let you. Let's combine all the Sam Neill movies into one.
Peaky Blinders thrown in there, too. And, the parts I did laugh at in this movie, other than like the gnome destruction and stuff like that, every now and then I was laughing at Jack Black. Now, his jokes are really no better or worse than anything else in this, but I don't know. He had kind of a fun, manic energy that
He
isn't
definitely
exactly
is, once again, just doing whatever the fuck he wants in the moment, and you can't tell. Well, you know, it reminds me of King Kong, where it's like,
I love him in
I'm
King
like,
Kong.
I don't know what the hell you're doing, but it's kind of entertaining.
It was just so, I'm like, I don't know if you're trying to be serious or funny, whatever,
Like,
but
don't know if you're helping or hurting.
Like,
but I'm enjoying it.
Because this wasn't a stereotypical Jack Black performance. This isn't a Jack Black performance that I've seen.
No, but this is
in 20
clearly
other movies.
Jack Black ass.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
it is. It totally is, because it's a lot of
It's not
energy, a lot of screaming, but
it's not-
he's not playing like the rocker guy again.
It's
or
not a
something.
stereotypical Jack Black
No.
performance. It's a new Jack Black.
I like
But it's still a Jack Black performance.
It absolutely is, but at least it's not something that it's not School of Rock again or something like that. But I laughed at the end when for no reason he says the kooky aunt says to him, like, "What's that smell?" And he's like, "Oh, I bathe myself in cilantro every morning."
We all just stood there. We all sat there like, what the fuck was that?
Because there is a creepiness to him in this movie, and it's like, when you think about this character, he has created himself a teenage girl. Because fuck yeah.
It starts off so innocent, and then like the kid next door thinks that Jack Black killed his own daughter or something. I'm like, this turned into like the Babysitters Club crossed with Silence of the Lambs.
No, it turned into
window.
That was weird, because it looks like he's gonna smack her from the window, so it went from like the Emil Hirsch Girl Next Door movie to Jack Ketchum's The Girl Next Door, where he's like, R.L. Stein's torturing a teenage girl in this house. And then when he recreates the girl at the end, shooting over to me like, "Don't worry, kid, I gave her bigger bosoms this time."
I augmented her breast size. Trust me, you earned it.
Oh, and if, here's another thing I wrote in. If somebody gets her pregnant before the age that I want, his dick falls off. Just saying, a little something I wrote in there, just something to keep in mind.
She is always going to remain the same age.
Well, and I turned to Brad too. Besides that, I was like, is anybody here concerned by the fact that it's probably just Jack Black's brain in her head? Like,
No,
this
you're right. She's always going to stay the
anybody?
same age until he writes
Yeah,
it.
it's
or
his
whatever.
imagination that made her. So I'm like, this just is straight out of his head.
Like,
This is not a concern.
Can you please write her to be over 21 now? Never mind the fact that she does look like she's like 13 or 14, and the kid who's playing the main boy
Looks like
in
he's
it.
30.
Yeah, he looks
Yeah.
like Channing Tatum in 21 Jump Street.
But
He
no,
actually
he-
looks like Channing Tatum.
No, he says, like, I found out I can't legally leave until I'm 18, and, like, I remember because I saw in the trailer, I looked it up, he's fucking 18 right now.
Yeah.
It's like, that's how old he is.
Is that how old the actor is?
I thought he
I
was like
put him-
26.
Oh, God. I think he was the older brother from Alexander in the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day.
I didn't actually remember that whole title.
Because I read the book.
Well, that was the other thing, too. Like, they're trying to, I guess, I guess they're trying to make him like the scaredy cat. That's what she always calls him instead of just, oh yeah, no, I'm so afraid of everything. You have no idea. Oh no, I'm gonna climb a carousel.
Oh, that fucking
Or
that
Ferris
theme
wheel,
park.
whatever. Yeah, this theme park is like, oh yeah,
I built it myself.
it's abandoned, so nobody's here. And I'm like, but the electricity still works.
Right?
I'm like, ComEd or is not sitting there
Wow.
going, why are we getting this wattage drain all of a sudden?
I can wrap my brain around that. You ever see footage of that like abandoned Disney water park from Florida where like the power still works but it looks post-apocalyptic and so you still have like the children's music playing throughout it and it's on YouTube. Look at this. It's